So here's my headphones I use for when I listen, when I record, microphone, of course, to talk through it, and then here's my monitor for Zoom, and this is kind of where I have my notes up, and then also here's what the monitor I use for when I edit stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 40 of Jordan and Drew, the Sports Crew. No Jordan Lorenz today. I'm your host, Drew Skyberg, and we have a lot of great stuff to talk about. We're at episode 40. Crazy how we made it this far, and we can't thank you guys enough for all your support along the way. And let's get right into it now. My podcast, it's called Jordan and Drew, the Sports Crew. I'm a co-host on the podcast with a guy named Jordan Lorenz, and we kind of have a long story. We met a few years ago and developed this friendship where it kind of revolves around sports. So that's exactly what our podcast is about. So we cover the local, collegiate level, professional level sports in Wisconsin, basically Wisconsin sports. First, we were making maybe one episode a week. Making our weekly thing that we air Mondays at 8 a.m. Now it's kind of evolved because I'm running a college athlete spotlight series where I got to contact guests. We usually run some Friday specials, which I do a lot of the coordination and the recording and the editing. So I'm spending a lot. I couldn't even put out some hours, maybe 4 or 5 hours a week right now with in terms of just like the coordination and then of course with the recording, and then I got to edit. It's a lot of networking basically, and once that networking is done, it's just a lot of planning the time, sending questions. It can be a time, I don't know, it can take some time. Bombs away for PBJ, they say. Career high 26 points, and that led the team to a badly needed 77-69 victory over Robert Morris. It feels great because it's kind of like we're interviewing them now in college, like you said, and then they could turn out to that. We can say, hey, we interviewed them on our show, and just it was big for our show, and that's talking about time. That one took a lot of time because there's a lot of guys you got to go through. I went through the director of basketball operations, and then I had to send their questions, get those approved by the school, and it's a lot of scheduling, emailing back and forth. I have like 20 to 30 messages back and forth with the guy just trying to schedule time because they're athletes, student athletes, they're busy, and I worked around their schedule, they worked around mine, which is great, and it's a great experience, and just interviewing these guests, and I want to credit Milwaukee again, UW Milwaukee, with that whole networking thing. It's really helped out our brand and just meeting all these new people. Like someone knows someone that I can interview, and that's kind of been how we've been able to get some of these new guests on the show. Luckily, my co-host actually took some charge in the whole ordering process through our shirts we did, and then now we did some sweatshirts. So I guess I'll go through the shirt process. That one was a lot simpler because of the amount we had. We sold around 35 shirts, and the shirt company did a great job in making the shirts. They turned out great. We got a good price for them. We were able to charge, our whole thing is trying to charge a cheap price for these because we want to get our name out, and we're not looking to make money off these. So we charge $12 a shirt, which is fairly affordable, and we were able to sell 35. I went out then and delivered, took some pictures on the put them on the gram, and just thanking our fans. And then going from there, we decided to do sweatshirts because our audience kind of grew with me down here in Milwaukee, and we sold around 65 of them. So that was a big thing for the podcast, and just going through that and doing the whole design, making forms, and I kind of took a lot of charge with those, doing the forms, I'm delivering them. Did a lot of the sales down here in Milwaukee, so it's been a lot. I mean, that talking hours, those are projects, those hours on end, just doing the marketing, spending time asking someone individually if they want to buy a sweatshirt, collecting the money, all that good stuff. Delivering is going to be a hefty process, so it's a lot of time, and it's well worth it. I mean, I appreciate all of our fans, and we always talk about giving back to our fans because they're $25 sweatshirts. You can't go wrong with that, so it's a fun process. I still enjoy this. It's something I want to keep continuing and just kind of building on, getting to that, let's say, that level. I mean, guys we look at like John Boy Media, Pat McAfee, these guys are the big top of the show guys, and we want to get there one day, and just working our way through these guests. We have some other guys. We're trying to get a guy right now who's actually he's projecting a 3rd or 4th round of the NFL draft. So there's some big names coming our way. It's just how can we keep getting those guys, and just kind of the whole thing of just spreading the word of the sports crew. So that's been our strategy right now, and just keep building as we go. Yeah, I'll go through our stuff. Instagram, Jordan Drew _sports crew, and Jordan is spelled Jordon. So keep that in mind when you're searching that. Facebook, Jordan Drew the Sports Crew. YouTube, Jordan Drew the Sports Crew, and just on all major platforms. You can find us: Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts. We're on all the different podcast platforms. Jordan, Drew, Colin, the Sports Crew.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you, Justin.